Well, if you're watching this YouTube channel, you must at least like Microbrands a little bit. And today's video is all about Microbrands. It's a top list of Microbrands that offer high quality watches, luxury level watches at, of course, Microbrand prices. I have more than 10 brands to go through, so let's get right into my first choice. The first watch on this list is Ren Watches. Craig over at Wrist Enthusiast decided to make his own brand. And this is a person who has seen a lot of watches hands-on, luxury and Microbrands and everything in between. And he took all of that knowledge and put it into a watch. All these watches get fume dials. Currently, he only offers a dive watch. His first edition basically sold out in a few days, and now he is moving on to his next edition. It's a new fume dial. These are very high quality watches made in Switzerland, made by one of the factories that make very high-end watches for other brands as well. He decided to make his own thing, so he knew where to go and what to do. And this is a really great watch for a very good price right now, under $1,000. I have no idea how long these watches will still remain under $1,000 as we go into further editions. So I definitely recommend grabbing one while you can because they are pretty awesome. The next brand on this list is Jack Mason, based in Texas. Originally, when they first started their company, they were very much focused on fashion brands. They pivoted and started catering to enthusiasts, and they essentially wanted to come out with the best watches that they could make. They started out with the Strato Timer, a GMT. They came out with a bunch of different versions of that watch. One of my favorites, of course, is the Dr. Pepper, an actual official collaboration with a soda on a GMT, a really great idea. These are high quality watches with on-the-fly micro adjust and just all around good looks. But the watch that I want to focus on in this video is their newest watch, the Canton. They wanted to come out with the best possible watch that they could make, and they did. It has a Le Jour Perret movement inside, a higher grade movement than they've ever offered, and it is beautiful. This is a Swiss-made watch with on-the-fly micro adjust. It's an everyday, go anywhere watch with 150 meters of water resistance. They really came out with the perfect GATA, and it is of very high quality. Well, the next watch brand on this list is probably the first Microbrand to really make high quality luxury level watches. Of course, I am talking about Manta. Manta, for a while, was the only horse in town making very high quality luxury style watches, but still considered a Microbrand. You could still get their watches for under $2,000, $1,700 for a Triumph or a Noble. These are really good everyday watches, and they have always been one of the highest quality Microbrands that you could buy. Lots of people refer to them as the Rolex of the Microbrand world. They get that name because their quality is extremely, extremely good. The next brand on this list is a Norwegian brand that I featured on my channel a long time ago. It was actually about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was extremely impressed with the quality and the fit, finish, and looks of this watch. It was Strom. Now, if you're not familiar with their brand, they make integrated bracelet watches with beautifully textured dials, and now they are using a Le Jour Perret movement. Back then, they were using a Sellita SW200. Now their watches are featuring an even higher grade movement, the Le Jour Perret G100. These are really good looking watches, and really, they have their own design. They have their own style. A lot of their dials are hammered, or at least look like they're a hammered dial that sort of radiate from the center of the dial from the hand stack. They look great, and they are of very high quality, and now they are moving in the right direction and still under $2,000, actually well under $2,000 for these watches, and they are really, really good looking. The next watch on this list is so far the most affordable watch on this list, although I do have a lot more affordable watches to come. This is Tiseno, starting at around $649. I'm going to be talking about their Shellback. Now, they do make other watches, and they are very high quality, and they're coming out with a dress watch that is really beautiful as well. But the Shellback is the watch that I'm talking about here. This is a Swiss-made dive watch, and their goal was to make one of the best affordable dive watches. And in my opinion, they were successful. These get on the fly micro adjust, they get lots of lume, but it's the fit, finish, and quality of these watches that really impressed me when I first reviewed them. And now they came out with a version 2, which is even better than the version 1, adding even more lume, better fitment on their bracelets, which already had very, very good fitment. Their bezel quality has improved as well. These watches were a step above before, and now they have just made even more improvements to them. Really an evolution of their version 1. These version 2s are exceptional watches, and I highly recommend them for someone who's looking for a watch under $1,000 and they want something that's made very, very well. The next brand on this list, and you're not going to be surprised, it is Zelos. Zelos are a brand of firsts. They were the first micro brand to offer on-the-fly micro adjust at under $500. In fact, a lot of their watches were under $300 when they first offered on-the-fly micro adjust. They also offer tons of different materials and textures on their dials. They use different materials for their cases and bracelets. They've embraced carbon fiber. There's tons of things that they do that most other micro brands don't even touch right now. And that's because Zelos take chances, not only with their designs, but with their materials. A lot of their designs are very original as well. Microbrand or not, Zelos offer very high quality and their prices are excellent. They also straddle two worlds with their watches. So they offer their affordable line of watches with pedestrian movements like Miyota and Seiko. However, they also offer a second line of watches that are higher end, but they are still at really good prices. And a lot of those watches offer Swiss-made movements like Etta and Sellita, but they also offer La Jouperet movements. Some of those movements are very high end. They've offered full sapphire crystal cases with a La Jouperet tourbillon inside. These are really high-end watches that they were offering for very, very good prices. Now, of course, they're not as cheap as their pedestrian movement watches. They're everyday watches, but that's the point. Like a major brand, they're offering these halo watches. They're very expensive watches when compared to their standard everyday watches, but a lot of that technology that they develop for those higher-end watches end up in their more affordable offerings. Especially considering they're a micro brand, what they do is awesome, and that's why their watches sell out so quickly. It's because they are amazing. The next brand on this list, again, you're not going to be surprised by. Christopher Ward offers some of the best quality in horology, period. They make some of the best watches that can rival watches in the tens of thousands of dollars. However, their pricing structure is transparent. They publish this on their website. All of their watches are priced the same. So basically, whatever the cost is, this is going to be the price. And that's how it works for all of their watches. They use the same formulas. And also, a lot of their watches are very unique. Yes, they make dive watches and field watches that are excellent, and they get all that same quality. But now they're offering these extra watches that are just taking the watch world by storm. Things like the Belcanto and the 12X. Beautiful watches, some of them having in-house movements like the SH21, and chiming watches like the Belcanto. They keep on offering these really intriguing watches for very good prices considering the quality and the complications that you're getting. And that's why I say any collector, if you collect high-end watches or affordable watches, you should own a Christopher Ward. You will not be disappointed. The next brand on this list is an extremely popular brand with micro brand enthusiasts. They are assembled in France. They are a French brand. Of course, I am talking about Baltic. Baltic started out making a lot of homages. They took inspiration from some of the best watches and really made them their own designs. Now they are moving slightly up market and they're using higher end movements and they're making even better watches than when they started. Their recent releases of the prismic dials, the stone dials, those are incredible. However, they have offered a bunch of new watches over the past few years and their quality has increased dramatically. They have been making some really awesome watches and I highly recommend checking out Baltic, especially their new titanium diver that came out around a year ago. I thought that was fantastic, but they are coming out with a lot of new watches that are pretty awesome. I definitely recommend keeping your eye on Baltic. Keeping this in France, the next brand is another French brand. Again, these are assembled in France as well. I'm talking about Depancel. Depancel make beautiful chronographs that are automotive inspired. I have featured a number of them on my channel, and they are of utmost quality. They have tons of details. Their straps are beautiful. Everything about these watches scream luxury. When I've worn Depancels on my wrist, people stop me and ask me, what kind of watch is that? And that's because they look a lot more expensive than they actually are. And I have to say, that's the theme throughout this entire video. All the watches on this list look more expensive than they actually are. And Depancel, for my money, offer some of the best looking chronographs for a great price. And they also make some higher end chronographs. They started doing that as well. Those are really, really beautiful watches, and their quality is very, very high, but they look very similar to their affordable offerings as well. So if you don't have the money and you don't need a Swiss movement, just go for one of their Seagull powered chronographs. You will not be disappointed. Like I said, their quality is really good and they look like $1,000,000. Next is a watch that has been sold in the Museum of Modern Art here in New York City. I actually bought a watch from them in that museum. They are Pollen. Pollen make affordable watches that have beautiful dials. Originally, they were being made by Anne Ordain. I believe they still are. However, I cannot see if that is the case on their website. They make beautiful dials that are very colorful. You have beautiful cases on these. Originally, they started out with some pedestrian movements. They offered watches with an NH35. However, they have graduated into higher end movements, and I actually have one with a La Joux movement inside. Pollen make beautiful watches, and if you're in the market for something colorful, fun, really well made, definitely check out their watches. And again, they are affordable. They're offering watches with La Joux movements, ETA 7001s, those hand wound movements with small seconds, which look great, but they still offer watches with NH movements and quartz movements. So you can actually get those dials in more affordable packages, and they are definitely worth it. I highly recommend them. The next brand and the last brand on this list is an extremely innovative watch brand. They are a micro brand that manufacture for other major brands. Of course, I am talking about Formex. They actually have a manufacturing side, and they manufacture for other brands, actually major brands and micro brands and independent brands. They make a lot of components that go into some of the watches that you might have on your wrist right now. They're also very innovative. They were one of the only brands, I think, to ever offer a shock absorbing case. Not only did it absorb shocks, but it was also very comfortable because of that. The watch head would actually flex with your wrist. They were also one of the only micro brands to offer micro adjust on their butterfly clasps. They were one of the first to do it. There are some major brands who did it, but they were the first micro brand to offer it under $2,000. Their quality is extremely high. They come out with a bunch of different dials for all of their watches. I highly recommend Formex because they are really innovative. You have to like the styling of their watches. They have a very distinctive style as well. I think they are really great watches, and I highly recommend them for anyone who's looking for luxury quality at micro brand prices. That's what you would get from Formex and every other brand that I have mentioned on this list. Tell me what you guys think about this list. Are there watches that I missed? I'm sure that there are. So if there are, add them down in the comments below. I'm going to be doing a part 2 to this video. Add some comments down below with some micro brands that you think offer luxury quality at micro brand prices. Anyway, guys, that's really it. Thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It's super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, that's really it, guys. Thank you very much. I'll catch you guys in the next video.